Now I'm going to move into what this month really holds. So on page 3 of the calendar, I have July. So this is what the month of July looks like. And let me know if you want me to zoom in more on this. I notice that sometimes I don't zoom in enough, so you can't see it very well. Oh, I'm starting to get attacked by bugs a little bit out here, but that's okay. I'd rather be outside. All right. So the very start of July, this whole first week of July is when we have the Sirius and Sun alignment. So that means that our sun is right above Sirius, our second sun, essentially. And perhaps Cassandra can speak to this a little bit because she's worked with Sirius energy quite a bit. But Sirius energy, whenever I think of this time, it's when Independence Day is in the US and Canada Day is here. It's a very important kind of initiatory time for all of us. And it's a powerful cosmic alignment. And it's so much radiant energy, right? This is when the sun and the second sun, the brightest star in our solar system, meets with our sun. So these two stars are dancing together. And it's a really powerful time to have illumination around what is the brightest and most expansive way for you to be growing at this time in your business. And we also have today the most expansive full moon possible because it is the Sagittarius full moon along with the Sirius alignment, and it is a super moon as well. It's one of many super moons we're going to be having this summer. So Sagittarius is, of course, the most expansive sign, the one that is here to teach us how to grow and how to constantly be learning in this adventure that we call life. And so this time period is really a moment to reflect on what your greatest strengths are, what your greatest source of expansion is, and to really, really, really tune into what is possible from this level of brightness, from this level of power, from this level of energy that's downpouring. And I just would love to know if any of you are really feeling this, how this is coming through in your own body, in your own sensory system, what it feels like for you to have this Sirius alignment happening. And it really is at its peak right now during this full moon because it's most aligned, and then it moves away a little bit more as we reach the 7th. So let me know if you'd like to reflect or share anything else. It's a very, very powerful time. Let's see. Yeah, Cassandra's saying that it feels like maximum expansion and deep initiations, like I mentioned, and it really resonates with the Sirius energy. I also always relate to Sirius as being very fantastical, like full of fantasy and mystery and so much possibility. It's where, if you're going to write a whole novel, it's where all of those ideas come from. And especially it being Gemini season and now Sagittarius with the full moon opposing that Gemini sun. And I'll show all of this on the next page about how those two are opposing each other and interplaying. It's really this time period to reflect on, like, what is my greatest lesson to give to the world? And what are the lessons that I have learned? And how can I share that in a really beautiful, creative way? Oh my gosh, Cassandra said she's writing her sci-fi book this year and been feeling it right now. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing that you're writing a sci-fi novel. I had no idea. That's so awesome. I've been writing a book about Atlantis and the mermaids for quite some time. And I've been getting very inspired by being by the ocean again. So that's amazing. Yes, Simone says she's feeling the energy of creativity, excitement, and re-envisioning offers. I'm finishing my manuscript for my book. Wow, amazing. So everyone is writing up a storm. Oh, wow, amazing. So Cassandra says she wrote it when she was 14 about Lumeria and it's its own planet. So now you're finishing it. Wow. That's amazing. So obviously lots of creative writing is coming out, and lots of expressions of our creativity are really a theme right now. And that's amazing. And so I just would love to hear from everybody else who's watching this replay. What else is coming through for you? What else is creatively being made manifest through this time? What clarity you are having? I would really, really love to know. I know for myself in particular, it's just like so much clarity around how much joy it gives me to help women, and mostly women entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs, understand their greatest gifts and their greatest expressions and their truest voices in their marketing and in their business create, like in their creations, and how it is that they express those creations out into the world, and how fun that is for me. And just like really, really aligning to that. And that's just like a deepening of love in terms of what it is that I do and what I provide. And it's been very, very present lately, and especially how astrology comes into all of that. So I can't wait to read the astrological charts in a couple of pages here and get us all really connected to that as well. One thing that I wanted to mention as well is I was looking at what other dates are happening this month. And I saw that on the 6th, also during this Sirius alignment, was International Kissing Day. And then the next day was Global Forgiveness Day. And I don't think that these are coincidences, right? There's no coincidences. It's all magical synchronicity. And I think the fact that Kissing Day is how we show affection and how we touch each other through our lips, through that, through our throat chakras, and through that connection point of being able to open to the world and take in the world and take in each other in this romantic way. And obviously there's also kissing that's platonic, or when you kiss your children. But I just think it's really beautiful to think of this time as you kissing the world, kissing your work, kissing your loved ones, having kissing be a part of what it is that you are blessed with at this time. And then there's, of course, Global Forgiveness Day. And sometimes we kiss in order to forgive and to show that, we've made up with somebody. But I think that it's a beautiful reminder at the end of this Sirius alignment to have forgiveness be a theme, because the Sagittarius full moon, I'll talk about it a little bit more, is also called the raspberry moon in indigenous teachings. And I've been reading about it in this book called You Are the Medicine by Asha Frost, which is really, really powerful. It has lots of moon and cosmic activations as well. Along with the moon, all of the moon teachings obviously are connected to the cosmos and are so powerful. The interconnectedness between the animals and the plant kingdom and the cosmos is so wild in this book and in indigenous teaching. So highly, highly recommend You Are the Medicine, 13 Moons of Indigenous Wisdom, Ancestral Connection, and Animal Spirit Guidance. And in this book, Asha Frost talks about how the raspberry was this beautiful plant, but it wasn't fruiting yet. And so it was taken and it was separated from all of the other plants, and it was alone. And it was, essentially very similar to how a lot of the indigenous children were taken from their families. But of course, this story predates that. And it talks about this, trauma to the generation of raspberries because they hadn't fruited yet. So then they were taken away and they were alone. And then grandfather's son heard that this was happening and set up a plan to bring the raspberry back home, and told the controlling spirits to release the raspberry. And they agreed that they would release the raspberry. And when the sun reached the raspberry, they were really broken and fragile. And so when the sun infused the raspberry plant with its light and warmth and love and welcomed them back to where they were meant to be, they grew up and they had children, and then those children had children, and then those children had children, and then they grew these beautiful fruits that are soft and delicate and tender and need to be handled with care, because the raspberry represents our generational trauma, our deep-seated trauma throughout the generations of separation, right? It could be separation from source or separation caused by trauma. And for those of you that are indigenous or have indigenous roots, like literally that separation from the family system in that way, or any form of separation that we experience as trauma and isolation and being alone that anyone in the human condition can experience, and how the sun can bring us back to life, and how bearing the fruit right? This whole fruit season, last month it was the strawberry moon, and now it's the raspberry moon, and next it's going to be the blackberry moon. So whenever we get to fruit and all of the fruit trees are fruiting is when we get to celebrate the fruits of our own labors, our own creations, our own magic and mastery. And many of you are mastered wounded healers, right? I like to call us healed healers that have done our own healing work and can now help and support others. And this moon cycle is really reminding us to look at how much we've healed, how much we have already forgiven, and to look for where we can further forgive and where we can further heal so that we can give even more fruit. But remembering, right, as Cancer season comes upon us later this month, that we must still be tender with ourselves and be tender with each other, because we're all walking with generational trauma or unhealed trauma within us. And that we as the leaders in that capacity get to walk so tenderly and so gently and to offer those fruits to others in the most beautiful and delicate way. I'm just reading some comments. Mm. Mm. Oh, wow. I love this. So Cassandra's saying that she's having, speaking of healing and having done like over 12 years of really magnificent healing work and being the healer for healers and teaching other healers how to be healers. You're feeling some big shifts and a complete career switch and got some big offers to be in management for new home builds. That's amazing. That just sounds so incredible. And especially since you've been all about finding a new home. And I can see how much you would love that for helping people find their new homes and how good you are at management and everything. I just think that would be so amazing for you. And so that's even an example of like, you've done so much of that healing and now you're the healed healer. And now it might be time for you to switch into something else entirely, right? A new home build, that's such a joyous form of career. I love that so much. Such amazing new energy. And you're also calling in your new home. So it seems perfect. And it's like organizing is so easy for you. I love that so much. That's so amazing. I feel like that is such a pinnacle of what we were just saying, right? When you've done all that work and you've done all that healing and you've taught other people how to heal, that this might be the most profound work that you have to do yet, the most tender care that you have to take care of yourself, right? That raspberry that you hold really delicately because, it can get squished so easily, right? You get to enjoy it and fully take it in because you work so hard to do the work to have that fruit be present, to have that opportunity be present for you. And I feel like you're just one example, Cassandra, of how this is possible for everybody right now. And Global Forgiveness Day is on the 7th. I know many people are talking about the 7-7 alignment and the 7-7 portal. I don't particularly follow those 7-7 portals and everything like that because the Roman calendar or the Gregorian calendar is just kind of arbitrary and based on the Roman rules. So I don't really follow that numerologically, but it is a significant astrological date since it is the end of that Sirius alignment with the sun. And it is also Global Forgiveness Day. So the ending of this powerful Sirius alignment where we get to review all of our creativity and what we've created and what's new for us is Global Forgiveness Day. So it's a time to forgive ourselves for anything that we're still holding against ourselves or others so we can fully move forward into the future and feel so deeply aligned. I just think that's so beautiful and so powerful. And I know for myself, like I was mentioning, I was thinking about how much I love astrology and marketing and doing everything that I'm doing. And I've also been excited about looking for jobs going back into the corporate world so that I can bring all that joy and excitement and everything I've learned about entrepreneurship to that world. And I've actually been looking for jobs at like large builders like Kajabi or Teachable where I can be in it, like I can be in the work, or even Mighty Networks, like something like that would be really, really exciting for me to work on. And I know that for myself, I'd promised myself that I was going to be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life. And so a part of my own forgiveness is forgiving myself that that's okay, that that's totally okay, that feels exciting to me and nurturing to me, and that's those are the ideas that I'm currently having during Gemini season. Then when I think of Cancer season, it would be so nurturing and nourishing for me to actually allow myself to have that and to start applying for some of the jobs or looking more seriously at them. So Global Forgiveness Day can also be a day where you can forgive yourself for anything in your business where you're still holding on to resentment, fear, shame around what steps you're personally taking and how that looks. It gets to be whatever feels most aligned for you. Um, I love that so much. Oh, thank you so much, Cassandra. You're saying that I'd be amazing there. Thank you so much. And yeah, and you also said that you agree that you stopped following those portals too. Interesting for the energy though. Review, then forgive. It's powerful. It is really powerful. I feel like what a powerful way to end this serious alignment than to focus on forgiveness for a whole day and that it's global and you can give that energy out globally and that other people are going to be doing it too, all over the world. I think that's really powerful. And then, of course, we'll have our last quarter moon right after that on the 9th. So if there's anything remnant that still hasn't been released, that's really when we release and forgive and let go, is during the last quarter moon. So again, this energy is present with the peak of it being today during the full moon. What is fully coming alive? What is being illuminated that needs to be released, that's ready to go, that's ready, that doesn't serve us anymore? And then the last quarter moon is where we get to see like what else has been left behind after World Forgiveness Day and all of the kissing and all of the serious magic. Then we get to really look at like, okay, what else is left here that I can fully let go of, that I can fully release, that I can fully forgive. And then we move into the second half of the month where we will have a Gemini new moon. We don't actually have a Cancer new moon this year. It didn't fall on those dates. So we get to have a Gemini new moon. So again, this is going to be a really powerful time on the 17th of July to set intentions around how you want to communicate yourself, around the ideas that you want to come into fruition, around the partnerships and also the sibling relationships that you want to have, or the other relationships and community that you want to have, and how it is that you get to communicate with other people. Really, really powerful time to set intentions around all of those themes and topics, and especially around you communicating and your own business and marketing. And then we have true Cancer season starting on the 21st. And right after that, we have Mercury, Mars, and Venus all aligning in Leo. So this is going to be a really, really potent time, again, with this Mercury alignment with Mars and Venus, is because Mars and Venus are already aligned and they're pretty close to each other in Leo. But now when Mercury is going to meet them, it's this amplification of how do we communicate with ourselves? How do we communicate with each other? How do we communicate to our loved ones? You might be having really profound relational activations really around how you can fully communicate and express your love, how you can be more vulnerable, how you can have more intimacy with your partner, with your friends, with your family, with your business. And especially since Mars and Venus are here, this is a massive activation in our marketing, right? How can we truly love the way that we communicate, the way that we put ourselves out there? How can we fully feel magnetized and like we're manifesting our deepest hearts, our deepest soul's desire? And since it is Cancer season, but also feeling nourished and seen and held and supported ourselves, right? So that we can continue giving and continue expressing and continue communicating. So it's going to be a really powerful leadership activation for us during this time on the 22nd of the month, with Mercury, Mars, and Venus all in Leo, showing us how we can bravely and boldly lead our relationships and lead our businesses really profoundly with so much passion and with bravery. And you might be having conversations that you didn't think you would ever have at this time. You might be having a new form of expression. You might be having a new level of willingness to communicate and put yourself out there, but in a way, again, that nurtures and supports you and doesn't deplete you, but instead builds you up and has you feel stronger. And then, of course, as all of that happens, we get to have the first quarter moon on the 25th. that gives us that ability to see what we've created so far after that new moon, to see what this Cancer season and what this Mercury, Mars, and Venus alignment has brought to us. So it's a moment of reflection, and it's a moment to see, okay, how can I amplify? How can I deepen into this? How can I nurture and nourish myself more? How can I deepen into my leadership and my expression even more? It's going to be a really, really profound time to have that reflection of what is it that you intended during the new moon, and what has already come about, right? It's that noticing of how your prayers and your intentions have already been answered, and how you can continue to have gratitude and faith and trust, and also action towards them manifesting even more. And then what I want to mention lastly is on the 30th of July is the World Day Against Trafficking. And if anything needs to be talked about some more in our world, it's how prevalent trafficking is of children and of women and of people. And there's a whole day dedicated to it, and I didn't even know about it. So there's going to be lots of initiatives that are going to be happening at this time. And if you're passionate about that topic and want to be talking about it or against it or doing some fundraising at that time, I think Cancer season, middle of the summer, kind of height of really wanting to nourish ourselves, is also a time when we can nourish those that have been impacted by World Trafficking Day. And this year the theme is no one is left behind, no victim of trafficking is left behind. So really powerful way to end that month is on that reflection point. So lastly, I'll just speak to some of the medicine that I've been really connecting to. And if you all have been connecting to other medicine, other animal medicine plants, please let me know. Oh, I also want to add horsetail, because I've been seeing horsetail everywhere, and I've been guided to drink tea, horsetail tea, which is very good for the hair and all of the structures in the body and the bones. So I've been seeing horsetail everywhere all around the island, and I've been meaning to forage some to make some tea. Also hummingbirds, with all of that beautiful energy of sharing our joy and our gifts with the world. Eagle, of course, giving us that higher perspective. And then dragonfly showing us that in just a flicker of time, in just one moment, we can have an idea, and we can have a complete shift in the way that we perceive ourselves in the world, like Cassandra is having with this new job offer that she has. So any other medicines that you all are connecting to, let me know. I'd love to know if there's other animals or plant allies that you have been, or symbols that you've just been seeing a lot that have been connecting to you. And then the last section of this page is, of course, where you can reflect on your own moon cycle. So day one of your bleed, writing out some words, writing out a sentence, writing out a prayer for what that day is like for you if you are still on your moon cycle. And then day 14 is your ovulation day, saying same thing, like your reflection on that. And this month for me was a really powerful bleed. Actually, it felt really easy. It felt really nourishing and easeful. And I almost even forgot that I was on my bleed for a couple of the days, because it was just so effortless and I felt a lot of energy. So I was really grateful for that, because sometimes I feel pretty low energy and pretty tired during that time. So it was beautiful to have higher energy during this beautiful Gemini time. Okay. So that is the month. If anyone has any other reflections or anything they want to share, please do. I'm going to move into reading the sky next. I keep on having like buzzing in my ear, and I'm just like, getting lots of messages coming through. Okay. All right, wonderful. All right, so here we can see the sky. You can see this is from the moon was completely full at 4:39 PST. So that's 7:39 in the morning for those of you on the East Coast. Last night. So you can still see it tonight if you want to go watch the moonrise, which is likely what I'm going to go do. But here it is, right in the stomach, right in the middle of Sagittarius. It is really in this point of being fully in the body of Sagittarius, which means that this moon is here to remind us of how we can embody our deepest expansion, of how we can take all of our ideas and actually move into living them, right? So they're not just ideas, they're not just fantasies, they're not just thoughts that are racing around, but they actually become our embodiment. They actually become a part of who we are. And not only that, but it's also a reminder to look at how you've already done that, right? So often we can focus on what's next and what we have to do and how we have to keep on growing and keep expanding and what's next for us. But what's also important is to have that moment of reflection of your own growth and to see how you've already embodied previous ideas that you've had, right? Things that were just a fantasy or an idea before, you have grown into them and you have lived through them and you have fully taken that action and already embodied that growth. So it's a moment to really stop and reflect on how much have I grown, especially over the last year, since the last Sagittarius full moon, or since Sagittarius season during the winter solstice over the last 6 months. What have you embodied? How have you grown? What have you come into? What was once an idea, but is now a living expression of who you are? And what I also want to mention is that right above the moon in Sagittarius is the very end of the serpent. And if you can remember a couple moon cycles back, we were at the very start of the healing serpent. So it was, what is kind of biting you? What is stinging you? What is still there that needs your attention? What is the venom that needs to be sucked out, right? There was that thematics around it. Like what is kind of hurting you or a pain point in your marketing and your business? Ooh, excuse me, I'm going to have some water. And now it's what is already healed, right? The question that I asked down here is what healing is now complete? Like what is complete? What is done? What is the end of the tail of the serpent, right? If the skin is coming off, the new skin is shed, it's come off the tail, you are renewed, you are reborn, right? You've already embodied it. It is here now. Like what has already healed around your business, around your marketing that you can celebrate, that you can be illuminated by, that you can really, really honor yourself for creating and for doing the work to do that healing. I know what it is for me. If anyone wants to share, please feel free. I really think that, again, this is a very, very powerful time to already acknowledge our growth, to not just be focused on what is the future, but to really, really be celebrating how we've already healed so much to this point, how much forgiveness we have already done. And then if there's anything else to heal and forgive, then that becomes the next embodiment, that becomes the next layer. And my questions to you are always going to be, what miracle is this full moon bringing to your marketing? So what miracle are you present to that you can apply to your own marketing, to your own business, right? And that can be the miracle of a new perspective that, hey, maybe I don't need to do marketing anymore. Maybe it's time for a career change. Maybe it's time to hire somebody to do this. Maybe it's time to completely change my offerings, give them a different name. Maybe it's time to rebrand, right? The miracle can be anything. It's just simply a shift in perception that gives you empowerment, that has you feel more at ease, that feels more aligned for you. And it's very clear that this is a time period, especially with Sirius aligning to the sun. I'll show you that exactly. So this is the moon, and then opposite the moon, illuminating the moon, is our sun here in Gemini, right next to Orion. And then right beneath is Sirius. So you can see that Sirius alignment quite literally. It's aligning with Sirius, the dog star, Canis Major. And right in between them is the unicorn, the magical unicorn in the sky that's actually stabbing Orion, which I think is awesome. That the unicorn is the one that's killing Orion mythically in the sky. And so during this magical unicorn time of this Sirius alignment, we have so much expansiveness that's available to us. So the question is, like, what expansive alignment is present for you? What is really here to expand you in its aligned way, right? What is present for you right now? And perhaps it's different than you thought it would be, right? Which Gemini season always brings us, is a different perspective, a different point of view. And it feels like, oh, wow, like that's not when I thought to myself what expansive alignment would look like 6 months ago or a year ago. Maybe what's present for you right now isn't what you were expecting, but it feels good and it's exactly what you need. And you see that you've actually healed something in order to get here. And so there's a miracle available for you. And so I would love to know what expansive alignment is present for you. Like I said, for me, it's focusing on getting a full-time job again where I can be of service in the most expansive way within one of the systems that we all use as entrepreneurs. I think that would just be so awesome to be on the software side, to be on the creative side in that capacity, serving, entrepreneurs in that way. And that feels really expansive and aligned for me. And I would love to know what feels expansive and aligned for all of you. Really powerful time. And I love the fact that everyone's kind of writing and getting into creative writing and writing their manuscripts. And that's just so aligned for Gemini season. And in order to even write something, you have to have already embodied it. You have to have already kind of experienced it in order to write about it, right? And so it's so powerful to be able to give that gift to the world through the form of communication and writing after the fact, after we've learned all of these tools and all of our healing has taken place. All right, so that was the sky. And next I'm going to read the chart for the sky and see what other messages I am getting. This is also called the buck moon because currently all the bucks, all the male deer, are growing their antlers. And by the end of July, they will be fully grown and starting to solidify. So that's kind of cool. So if you see any bucks with their antlers out this month or at the end of the month, you will know that they are brand new. They are freshly grown. And it's also the thunder moon because there's lots of thunderstorms during this time around the north. And in the south, it is the wolf moon. So typically what we have in January, they have in July, which is all the wolf pups being born and all the wolves howling down south. So that's really powerful to think about. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see this a bit better. So you can see the whole sphere here. Okay. So, oh gosh, what did I do? Didn't mean to do that. Well, technical difficulties. Right. So, the one piece I haven't really spoken to, although I have been speaking to it a lot, is the fact that the sun and Mercury are right next to each other during this Sirius alignment. So it is also a Mercury alignment along with Sirius and the sun, which feels really powerful. And here it's in the first house, which means that the way that we think about ourselves, the way that we conceive of ourselves, our own identity, is being changed right now. And sometimes that can feel really unsettling, even kind of unsafe. But right now, during this alignment, it feels actually expansive. Like so much more is possible for us when we think of ourselves in different ways, when we give ourselves a new title or the possibility of having new titles or descriptions or, job descriptions or, ways of thinking and describing ourselves, right? Maybe it's time for you to talk about yourself in a new way or think about yourself in a new way and conceive of yourself in a new way. This is a lot of what this full moon is here to illuminate for all of us. And then I already talked about it during the kissing and the forgiveness. But being that this full moon is in the 7th house, it's really showing us how we have to focus on ourselves, but then also focus on our relationships and how much our relationships and the people around us are here to support us. And that includes the people that we hire on to help us with our businesses and to be here to support us in our relationships and in our partnerships throughout life and even our business partnerships. So some of you may be having some really profound activations and shifts in your business partnerships, or you might be realizing that you need new business partners or new team members or a new shift in the way that you communicate to those team members. And that is of course possible. And that has the possibility to profoundly shift your whole business. And it's going to be, and doing this and looking at the people around you and the people that you surround yourself with and your team and your partnerships and how this all works is going to be really, really expansive because the moon is trining Jupiter in Aries. So whenever we get to have a Jupiter trine, that's so expansive. That's like power on top of power, really. And it's a really harmonious placement in the sky because Aries and Sagittarius together are both fire signs. And so there's just an extra level of expansion available when we look to our communities and to our partnerships and look to expanding that in ways that are new, in ways that are different from how we've done it before. Right? Like perhaps working in a completely different sector or going after a completely different target market or looking to expand our community by doing things that we've never done before or really putting ourselves out there in new ways. This is what the Aries and Jupiter wants us to do. And it has been, kind of giving us that thematic. Whereas in before, when Jupiter was in Pisces, we were really focused on our healing community and ourselves and what we need, who we need to surround ourselves with so that we can do all that healing. And now that we remember that the healing is done, the healing is complete, right? The serpent's tail, we're at the end of the serpent's tail during this full moon. Now that we're healed, who do we get to be? Who do we get to surround ourselves with? What's the next layer of our journey? What's the next layer of our identity that we get to discover? And so this is a big theme that we get to be present for. And we get to see that the North Node, our destiny, is right here at the cusp of Pisces going into right in the cusp of Pisces, whereas in before it was in Aries. So we were really feeling that energy of needing to start something new and needing to be innovative and what's the term? Like a leader of something that's innovative and new and never been done before and never been done in our families before. And now we're kind of mellowing out and seeing like, okay, I've done that work. I've been leading, I've been doing my best, and now I get to be nourished, and now I get to be supported, and now my destiny gets to be a little bit more intuitive and a little bit more flowy, and not as much of that aggression present, and not like aggression, like negative aggression, but like that really deep, like internal fire is going to be tempered a little bit, not taken out, but tempered with the fact that we get to be so held and supported, and that we always get to remember, especially as feminine leaders, that our psychic awareness and our intuitive knowing is always going to lead us in the right direction. So we don't have to force to be these leaders and these innovators and these creators, but that our own destiny, our internal compass will always lead us to where we need to go. And as the North Node shifts more and more into Pisces, we're going to see more and more of this. We're going to be deepening into our intuitive knowing and our intuitive gifts as we follow our paths. And we're going to just keep trusting what that path is, right? That feels so cliche and quintessential to say, like, trust your path, trust your intuition. It will always guide you. But it's really, really present now that, right, we can't really follow our destinies without tuning into our intuitions and without praying for answers and then following the guidance that we receive. And so I just think this is so beautiful because amidst all of this, there's this ability to come back to trust and self-trust and innermost trust and trust in faith and in spirit, and knowing that you have done so much of the work, and regardless of how much change is coming about right now, because I feel that this time is a lot of change, a lot of new thinking, a lot of new possibilities, a lot of new creations, that you get to keep on deepening into yourselves and deepening into this overall feminine psychic knowing that is leading the world and leading you from the inside out. And it's so powerful. And soon there will be, once that North Node goes past Chiron, there'll even be this awareness of the fact that our wounds no longer have to hinder us from stopping what we want, what we really feel guided to do, right? Sometimes we feel guided to do something, but we were wounded by that in the past. And so we'll feel a stop, we'll feel a block. And soon that will actually no longer be a hindrance. We will see how much we have healed and how much we have to teach and how much we have to grow, and how something, the cave that we fear to enter is exactly the one that we need to go towards and into. And it's all going to happen from us calmly and deeply and securely following our intuition and trusting ourselves and trusting spirit in such a profound way. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say about this. Oh, yes, I did want to mention that Venus and Mars are both in Leo, like I mentioned, and later on the 22nd is when Mercury will be meeting them as well in Leo. But these two are again speaking to us about our relationships and about our internal blending of the masculine and feminine, those two coming into balance and harmony with each other, and really getting to celebrate that. How much work have we all done to balance out our internal masculine and feminine, but how often do we celebrate how far we've come, right? And this is really looking at the manifestations of that coming into balance already, like looking at how that is already present and embodied in you, how much you have embodied your internal feminine, how much you have embodied your internal masculine, and giving yourself that chance to really get out of the esoterics of it, get out of the, oh, there needs to be more done, more, right? And actually looking at, what have I already done? How is it already here? How have I already healed? And how can I move forward, trusting myself and trusting that internal guidance system, that internal alchemy, that internal kind of Heroes Gamos marriage of the two within you, right? As masters, as priestesses, as medicine women and women of the earth, of the new earth, how can we walk forward and know that we are so held, that we are those leaders, and that we've already done so much of the work, and that really all there is to do is trust and keep moving forward and keep celebrating ourselves. And that's really what the overall kind of message is like, look for ways that you can already celebrate your growth and your lessons learned, and what is next and ready for you. It might feel like a big leap, might feel like a really big identity leap or identity jump or a whole new idea that you never would have expected, but it's exactly perfect because you can see that it's actually coming from a deeper, more aligned state when you tune into that. And when you ask for answers and guidance, you will be shown the way, right? You've prayed for answers and now you get to receive that support. You don't need to do more effort, more work, more forgiveness, et cetera, et cetera. It gets to be a lot more easeful in this way, right? In Gemini season, we see all the new possibilities, and then in Cancer season, we let ourselves receive that. So I really, really hope that this full moon messages have served you, and that you know that in your own marketing and in your own expression of your gifts, that you are so held, and that you are always so capable, and that you have already been so capable, and to celebrate yourself in that capacity, because there's so much more to come. There's so much more for you to put out there into the world in perhaps ways that you never would have expected, but that are exactly perfect and aligned. And you get to celebrate everything that you've done so far already. And this is my reminder for you to celebrate that embodiment and what you've already accomplished, and then to look forward to that new identity that you are building in and becoming and walking into. Okay. So, and to, of course, have so much delicacy and tenderness and nurturing and love for yourself as you need that, for yourself and in your business. So remembering that beautiful raspberry that was taken away from all of its other fruit trees because it wasn't bearing fruit yet, and it was, taken away and traumatized and then healed by the sun. What requires delicate care and tenderness in your own marketing and business? Did I write busyness, or is that business? How don't I know how it's spelled right now? That's so funny. Anyways, what are words in Gemini season? So what requires that delicate care and tenderness, and then has that sweetness attached to it? Because when you handle it with delicate care and tenderness, then you get to appreciate the sweetness of that beautiful raspberry moon. So that's one of your reflections for today. And then, how have you already healed generational trauma in your work? We're always talking about doing that and doing all of this generational trauma healing and generations in the back, but how have we already accomplished that? How has that already happened? And what is, how can you really, really honor that work for yourself and give yourself all that juicy, tender love for doing all of that generational trauma work and healing for your own lineage and for others, and moving forward with the new ideas and the next steps that are really here to serve you and the collective. All right. So that's everything that I have to share. If anyone would like to talk about any of those questions, how they're tenderly and sweetly supporting themselves and their business right now, what generational trauma they've already healed, what miracles are coming about in their own marketing. I would love to know. We have a few more minutes here to be together. So let me know live or let me know in the replay in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Anyone want to share? Typing. Okay. Yes, Simone is saying that she'll share in the comments on the replay. Okay, great. No problem. I know that you were driving, so I don't want you to have to pull over or anything. All right. Well, thank you all so much. And thank you all sincerely for the work that you do, for the healing that you have done for yourself and the generations in the past, for all of that conscious, like heartfelt work that you have put into your businesses and your conscious businesses, and for allowing yourselves to acknowledge that and witness that and celebrate that, and then move into this next phase of your business and your life, whatever that looks like. If it's changing the way you talk about yourself, if it's elevating who you're talking to, having a new community that you speak to, or having a new career path altogether, really trusting that you have done the work, you have embodied it, and you get to just celebrate yourself now. I love you all so much. And if you're ready to dive in deeper with me one-on-one and look at your marketing and your cosmos personally for yourself and your business, then please reach out to me. You can find my readings at sanjarose.com. You can email me there and I will let you know what I have available. I also have my cosmic marketing sessions available there too. I'll give everybody the link to that in the replay, and I'll put it in the comments here as well, just so you have it. Okay, 1 second. Should have gotten that ready beforehand, but that's okay. All right, so if anyone wants to book in, there's the link to book in a cosmic marketing session. It's so powerful, it's so empowering, and you get to have this really detailed look for yourself and for your next steps. And it's so profound, the messages and the clarity and the guidance that comes through. Okay, everybody, have a blessed, blessed full moon. Put out some infusing water today and for the rest of the Sirius alignment. Have some Sirius infused solar water and enjoy this powerful, expansive time. I love you all.